Hiring in family law is not about who you hire, it's about when. And most firms are guessing their hiring timing. Today, Sterling's CFO, Todd Clower, will walk you through the 4 moves that make timing a calculation instead of a coin flip. Welcome back to the Sterling Family Law Show, the show for family law firm owners who want to grow their profits, multiply their cases, and set a clear roadmap on what they need to do to build the firm of their dreams. Our episodes break down proven business growth, digital marketing, and revenue-first strategies to help you scale smarter, not just busier. Back with us is Todd Clower, Chief Financial Officer at Sterling Lawyers. Every staffing decision at Sterling runs through one model, and Todd is the one who reads it. He interprets the forecast in real time to keep our $20 million law firm staffed ahead of demand and inside its margin. In this episode, Todd is going to lay out our actual 4-step method, and we're going to dig even deeper into this on our free webinar on June 26th called How to Predict Your Next Hire: Hiring Secrets of an $18 million family law firm. And today we're going to take a deeper dive into the data component of hiring. Todd, give us some perspective on what metrics you look at when you're thinking about a hire, or when your team says, Todd, we got to hire, we're so busy right now. You always do a great job of bringing everyone back down to the metrics. Let's dive there first, and then we can go into forecasting.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks for having me on again. For me, it's really, you can have data overkill where you have too many metrics to track. I've tried to boil it down to 5 or 6 kind of key metrics, right, that really make a difference for us. And if we're comfortable with those on a month-to-month basis from an actual perspective, so meaning we understand what they are, it makes the forecast process a lot easier because you start to trust the numbers that you see. So today we'll walk through kind of those 6 kind of key numbers that I was talking about. And number 1 is monthly revenue, right? What do we want to see from a monthly revenue perspective for the firm, right? That's key, right? What do you want your growth to be? How do you want to measure success of the business? All those things.
And Todd, it's a great way to look at that is to look at the last 90 days or the last 6 months. Don't just guess or hope on a dream. Well, maybe we'll make double next month. That's not a thing.
Exactly. And we'll see more about that, Tyler, when we get into the forecast side, right? Because if we're following the waterfall method, right, we're going to see, hey, if I want to be at this from a revenue perspective, I got to get this many leads. I got to get this many consults. I got to get this many quotes, right? So if you're doing all that stuff, you'll see that monthly revenue makes a lot of sense, right? So great add. Second one I like to look at is the average case value, because there's a concept here, right? At the end of the day, it doesn't always matter how much you're getting from a case value, because each case is going to have a different amount of time and amount of experience or expertise that you're going to need on that file, right? So it's key to understand what your average case value is. That gets into then case length, which I just mentioned, right? If you have a full, what we would call a 3-stage divorce, right? It's going to take a whole lot longer and a whole lot more resources than, a simple post-judgment case or something like that, right? So you have to understand what that case length is. Split it into a number of different categories, right? What case types do you have? Therefore, that's going to have a different case length. Next one is total active files per month. So how many files can your team A, handle, and B, how many do they want to handle, right? Because if you understand this by attorney, you can actually get to a point where, you don't overwhelm your attorneys, right? I want to handle 50 cases a month. Great. You can handle 50 cases a month. Hey, in the summer, I want to spend more time with my kids. I only want to handle 25 cases a month. We can do that. As long as we know that, you can do that. So that's a key number for us to know. The last one then is seasonality. And, a small firm for sure sees a lot more seasonality as you get bigger, the seasonality kind of takes care of itself. Although we at Sterling even still have seasonality, particularly in the fourth quarter, right? November and December are always low months, just because of it's the holiday season, all those kinds of things. But you need to understand from your firm what your seasonality is. And if you can do that, then that helps you not only from that top line, it also helps you from, your active files per month. It helps you for, how the utilization and the efficiency of your attorneys are going to be. So if you get a good handle on all of those, that makes your life a lot easier because you start to trust those numbers and you start to understand, how am I going to forecast the business?
This really allows you to create that foundation of understanding your business on a high level, understanding the free cash flow that you have to make an offer to a new hire. So we have our numbers, we have our foundation. We're now going to think about the future. We're going to look to the next 12 months, help us understand the forecast.
Yeah. So there's really a couple key things that I look for here. And I'll really talk about two steps of kind of this four-step process, right? Number one is forecasting that hire. And then the second part of it is understanding the window of when you have to hire. Because you can't just say, oh, I need to hire tomorrow, and therefore today I'm going to go out and hire somebody. It's not that simple, right? So the first thing is forecast, right? You get your actuals, you know your drivers of your business. And some businesses might have those 6 that I talked about. Maybe in your firm you might have 4, right? Or somebody may have 12. Whatever, however many drivers you want to focus on for your business is key. Once you have confidence in those, then you start building in the waterfall model, and it'll start to tell you, here's how many cases you can handle with the people that you have today. And when you start getting to the 90 to 95% full, it's time to start hiring, right? And
So
that's
that's
why
your
the forecast.
threshold. It's not 70%,
Yeah,
it's 90.
yeah, yeah. I think you want to push as high as you can. 95 is probably the outlier, right? Because there's always going to be, time sucks, right? There's meetings, there's whatever, right? People you're never going to be 100%. But if you keep it over 90 to 95%, that's kind of the perfect window. So once you trust your actuals and you trust the waterfall, it's going to start to tell you, hey, in 4 months, I'm going to be at 98%. Well, that's probably too much. It's time to start hiring because it takes time to hire that person, right? And that's the next part, is how do you find that window, right? And this is going to really, I've found that this really depends on what type of attorney, what level of attorney am I looking to hire. If I want to hire a newbie, a new college graduate, it's pretty simple, right? I mean, there's thousands of them graduate every May, thousands of them graduate every December. Let's go find some of those, plan on those, and get those into the business. Pretty easy to find, pretty easy to hire. You even might have them as an intern for a period of time and then turn them into a hire, right? That's a really good pipeline. Those individuals have a longer life cycle, right? If I'm going to be 98% full in 4 months, it's probably almost too late for me to go hire a new attorney, a brand new attorney that's never tried a case, because there's ramp up. They don't understand what the process is. They don't understand what the business is like. They don't even know how to work with a client, probably, right? So you might need 6 to 12 months, right, to kind of get those guys up to speed. So think about that. Now, obviously, it's a much cheaper hire. We'll talk a little bit more about the gross margin impacts, right? But obviously, a brand new attorney is much cheaper than an experienced attorney, right? So the other side of the coin is, if you want to hire an experienced attorney and you don't want a newbie, you don't have anybody that's going to be able to mentor them or whatever it might be, you just want to go and get somebody that's been practicing for 3 or 4 years or whatever it is. Takes longer to find that person because they've got a job. They've got a job. They're probably happy. If they're not happy and they don't have a job, you probably don't want to hire them. But they're not necessarily actively looking. You've got to go farm them. So that takes longer. But the day they start is probably the day they start being productive, right? Because they're going to know how to handle a client. They're going to know how to talk to a client. They're going to know how to find a new client. All those kinds of things, right? So that's the balance that you have to play between, do I want a new person or an experienced attorney? And if so, that might change the time period of my window of hire.
And your window of starting to look, right? If you're
Exactly.
at 70% capacity or 75%, but you feel like that trend's going to continue and ramp up to 90, well,
Yep.
you may want to start looking for that experienced attorney at 75% capacity, because it's going to take a while.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's why the forecast is so powerful.
What if you're always hiring 3 months too late and you don't even know it? By the time you think you need another attorney, the damage is already done. Your team's burned out, cases are piling up, utilization's through the roof because hiring was never about gut feel. It's about data. Sterling Lawyers built an 80-employee family law firm by forecasting our hires every single month. We're teaching the exact method to predict your next hire in a free webinar. When to start recruiting, what roles to fill each month, and how to protect your profit margins. The link is in the show notes below. I'm interested in, Tony, you and Todd's perspective here on, I can imagine that if you have a firm with multiple attorneys and they're talking to you about how busy they are and they think that it's time to hire right now, how do you manage that from a culture perspective and a management perspective to help them understand, listen, I hear you, but we're only at 80% and we're not going to hire till 90?
Yeah, Todd, I'll let you go after
Yeah,
that.
I can start with that because as you were asking that, I just started smiling because it's a real problem. It could be a problem, right? But here's what we try to do is we try to keep those attorneys in the know on what we use for a forecast, right? Because if you're honest with them and you tell them, here's what I'm planning to do, here's where we're growing, here's, how we're going to expand the business or whatever it might be. If they get confident, they see they're confident in you because you know what you're talking about, you know how the business works, you start comparing to that forecast, all those things, it becomes a much easier conversation, right? Because you're saying, hey, here's what the numbers are showing me. This is what we're going to actually do. And they buy into it and they believe it and they trust it just like I do.
Yeah. So if they're in the know and they're seeing the same metrics that you're looking at on a regular basis, they're not going to come to you and say, we have to hire right now because they're going to know we're only at 80% capacity.
Exactly. But they're also going to be able to say, hey, what's the plan, right? When are we thinking of growing? Because I feel like I'm really busy, right? It's that feel word, right? That's really hard. You might feel busy any given day, but it's like, hey, trust the numbers, right? Trust the history, trust what we've built in this firm and how we look at the firm.
I would say too, it's not one meeting. That's like what Todd does really well is he has ongoing forecasting meetings and all parts of the business are in it. Shortish meeting, but it's ongoing, and every single time we're reviewing the same thing, and Todd's walking us through the numbers and what to expect, and asks different questions depending on what the data is showing. That teaches everybody how to use it and how to stay informed and how to get it. It builds confidence in the whole team because we understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a great point you bring up, Tony, right? When I first started having those meetings here at Sterling, right, it was like 1,000 questions. Todd, why did you make that decision? Todd, why did you do that? Why did we change that number? But as you talk about the same things over and over again, it becomes second nature to everybody, right? And they're like, get it. And they're probably in their head doing the exact same thing that I already did because they've seen it so many times.
Great point. Okay, so now the final piece of this discussion is around, like, can we actually afford this person and how much can we pay them?
Yeah. Great point. So there's two things that drive it, right? Which attorney are you hiring, right? Is it that new guy right out of school or that new gal right out of school? Or is it a seasoned attorney, right? Totally very, very different cost perspective there. The issue comes in is you have to be willing to take that maybe little bit of hit in gross profit or profitability for a couple months because you've hired a brand new attorney out of school that is going to take some time to ramp up. And that's okay. It all comes back to the confidence in the forecast. Really, it does, right? That's going to sound like a broken record. But if you are confident in what your numbers have shown you yesterday, what they're showing you today, and what you believe wholeheartedly that they're going to show you tomorrow, it becomes easier to swallow that pill and to go to, the CEO or the owner or the leader of the firm and say, hey, yeah, we're going to take a little bit of a hit this month because we want to go and hire this because here's what our forecast is telling us. We need it. Otherwise, we're going to burn everybody out. So it's a tough decision, right? That first couple times you do it, you really I don't really want to do this because I want to make as much money as we can for the firm. But it's an investment, right? That's the other way I constantly talk about investment in the business, and people is an investment in the business.
Well said. Yeah, so that is the 4-step hiring head start, right? You're going to check your firm's health. You're going to know whether you need to hire at all. You have to forecast your hires so you know what the next 12 months look like before you make that investment in another person. You have to find the window, so turning that forecast into a date on the calendar. And then finally, you have to make sure that you can protect your margin and make sure that the firm actually has enough cash to be able to make the offer. If this is interesting to you and you want to know more, on June 26th, we will show you exactly how to apply this inside your firm and give you free tools to do all of it, including the hiring needs calculator, the full hiring head start guide, and the waterfall scorecard. We go live at 11 a.m. Central, and this is your final opportunity to join us. Click the link below and secure your spot. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to seeing you again.